how I set up my Sony a7R Mark III. What is good, YouTube? It's that one camera guy, back at again with another video for you. Yes, it is more a7R III videos. I know you're tired of them. But in this episode, I'm going to show you how I set mine up. I'm not going to start from the beginning of time. I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I sort of cover in the menus, what my custom functions are, and what I set as far as my custom buttons. Now, these are going to change in the next few weeks as I shoot more with it, but this is just kind of my gut feeling right now in terms of what should they be when I first start. So I'm going to go shoot some soccer later today, so I'm just going to go ahead and set it up how I normally would on this particular camera. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over to my little tutorial view here if I can get this all figured out. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the menu option on the camera, and we'll start at the very beginning of time and just go down the line and talk about what I have set. So we're on page 1, section 1, file format RAW, of course. Shoot RAW whenever you can. I switch to JPEG when I need to. Compressed, I don't need uncompressed stuff. JPEG quality, fine. JPEG image size, 42 megapixels. Aspect ratio, 3:2. I don't use 16:9. 3:2 is going to give you more pixels at the end of the day. This is going to be set to a custom function that I'll talk about later. Long exposure, noise reduction, I have that set to off. Usually anything that modifies the images, I'm going to set it to off. High ISO noise reduction, that's usually off. Color space, I set to sRGB because my monitor that I'm using is compatible with sRGB, it's 100% sRGB. Use Adobe RGB if your monitor supports that or whatever you're printing to. Alright, shoot page 3. All these things change. Pixel shift, I'm not going to use it at this time, maybe in the future. I have already set some stuff on memory. So for example, on memory 1, if you take a look here on this dial, on dial 1, I have it set to 4K recording. On dial 2, I have that set to 120 frames per second recording. So if I need to quickly jump to high frame rate recording, I switch to 2. So that's what I've done with my memory recall. Then there's select media, register custom shooting settings. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not using that at the moment. Alright, so now we're on page 5, focus mode. These two I leave on balanced emphasis. I've left my Sony a9 in the same situation. I've never needed to change them, but if I do tweak them, I'll adjust them based on my given scenario. Lock on AF, focus settings, I don't change those. I never bothered to set one of these up. Basically, you can set a focus point when you turn the camera sideways like this. You can have like a designated spot where your focus point is going to land. Let's move on more. AF illuminator, I turn off. You might want to turn it on if it gets really dark and you need the illuminator to come on. Face priority, I don't know what this is. It's brand new to me. I'm going to have to research that more. AF tracking sensitivity, that's good for me. I'm okay with that. Autofocus with shutter. If you're not doing back button focusing, I have autofocus with shutter. I don't do the whole back button focusing thing. Not that I'm against it, it's just not my style. Pre-AF, if you want the camera to be focusing while you're pointing the camera, even you're not touching the shutter, I turn that off. AF area register off, this whatever. AF area auto clear, I'm going to leave that off. What this will do is it'll actually display your autofocusing zones or the areas when you're taking pictures, so I leave that on. Leave this one off and leave that one on. Phase detect area. You know what? I'm not familiar with this one. I don't recall it, but let's just go turn it on. AF area micro adjust. I'm guessing this is showing me my phase detect area on my actual camera. Let me see if I can see right now. Okay, there's that box. I wonder if that's what it's telling me right there. And if I go back, turn that off. Let's see. Yeah. So that square that you saw was my phase detect area. So that might be helpful. I'm not going to turn it on right now then. I'll turn it off. It might be distracting. These are all normal. ISO, obviously you change based on your situation. I leave that on multi. Face party in multi-metering. I'm just going to leave it on, I guess. I don't know too much about it yet. I'll research it later. Center, 0.3. Auto exposure lock with shutter off. Exposure standard adjustment. I'm going to leave that alone. Flash mode, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's all good for me. White balance, I'll change as I need to. I'll leave it on auto. Standard. That's fine. That's okay. And then we have picture profiles. Remember that? The A9 doesn't got picture profiles. I'm going to leave that one off. Obviously, I might use picture profile too in video. Focus magnification time, no limit. I want to be able to focus for an unlimited amount of time when it zooms in. That's cool. You can adjust this so when you do your focus magnification, you can like go straight to 6.2 if you want. Can I demo this? Let's see. So I need to set my camera to manual focus. There we go. And I have a shortcut button. Boom. Go straight to 6.2 right away. So let's say I want to focus on, I don't know, that. It goes to 6.2 right away. Wow, cool. So that's that. Let's keep going on. Autofocus and focus magnification, I leave that on if you want to be able to focus when you're zoomed in. Manual focus assist on. Peaking settings, I'll tweak that later. Anti-flicker shooting is off right now because I don't need it. Face registration, you kind of know what that is already. I'm not going to cover that in this video. All right, here we go. Number page or section 2, we're on the movie section. Okay, exposure mode. I already set this to manual exposure. So if I turn my dial, so what I just did right now, I turned this dial. But you're just going to have to trust me on it. All right, so let's jump to... All right, page 2 here. File format 4K, 24 100 megabits per second. I don't mess with these S and Q options for the slow motion. I do all my slow motion after the fact. Proxy recording, I set that off for right now. AF drive speed, I keep these on fast and responsive when I'm shooting sports. If I'm probably doing like indoor stuff, I'll change these. If I'm just tracking my face, for example. Auto slow shutters off because I don't want the shutter speed to change on its own. That's what that's doing. Audio recording on for obvious reasons. Audio level display on, that's important. Leave that live. Wind noise reduction, turn it on, why not? Marker display, if you want to get that 16:9 aspect ratio bars or the crop marks, you turn that on. Movie with shutter, you can actually press the shutter button and trigger the recording. We have a dedicated button now, so don't need that. I'm cool with just pressing this button in the back. Silent shooting off, you can turn that on or off when you need to. Electronic front curtain shutter on. Release without lens, sure on that one too. Steady shot on. Steady shot settings is on auto, I believe. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it on auto. All right, zoom settings. This is for like if you want clear image zoom. In this section here, you can activate clear image zoom, but I can't do it because this thing is plugged in and I've got RAW activated. You get the idea. All right, now on page 6 here, display button. Let's go ahead and click on this. Choose monitor. These are the things that I've activated. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on monitor off as well. So what this means is when I press the display button on the back of the camera, it'll cycle through these different choices that you can see. So I take advantage of that. Let's go back here, display option, finder. I have these chosen here as far as that. I'm going to turn display all info on as well in case I need to see all that. I don't need the graphic display. That's not necessary for me. All right, finder frame rate. I'm going to leave that one to standard. You can set it to high if you want. Standard's fine with me. All these set to off. Live view display, keep that on. Always display continuous shooting length. That's when you're taking pictures and it kind of shows you that little bar on the side that kind of gives you an indication of your buffer. So I keep that on. Auto review, I turn this on when I'm shooting portraits. I usually use like 2 seconds or something if I'm doing portraits. All right, let's go to custom operations. We're almost there, guys. Sorry for the lengthy video here, but this is what I've got. On my control wheel, ISO, focus magnifier. So I press C1 when I am in a manual focus mode. I can zoom in. Custom button 2 is touch operation. Check, this is pretty cool. I don't know if it's going to show or not, but if I press C2 over here, it turns touch operation on and off right away. And obviously I can't do it with this mode, but I can just pretty much turn it off and on. So that's something I'm trying out. We'll see how well that works, but that's what I'm doing. Custom button 3 goes to APS-C mode. This is what I really got to, which I find very interesting, is I can just press C3 now. Boom, I'm in Super 35. Boom, I'm out of Super 35. You've got to be kidding me. The A9 doesn't even do it that fast. The A9, you got to press the button and do one more choice. So A9, Sony, help us out here. All right, so let's jump back over here. Audio recording levels, custom button 4. I've always set this one to my audio levels. It's just, I've gotten so used to it. We will only be able to see this in the video mode though, so, but yeah, that's my section there. Multi-selector button that changes the focus point. Center button's eye autofocus. That's what I'm using that for. Let's see if I can use it here. There we go. You can see in the recording that eye autofocus is working very, very well. As I move the camera back and forth, it's tracking my eye, and it's pretty small in the actual image, which is pretty cool. All right, back here again. Let's see here. Drive mode's the left button for obvious reasons. There's already a picture indicator for that. ISO's the right button. Down button's the focus mode. And then the AEL button is the monitor brightness. Why in the world I set it to that? I have no idea. I just set it to that. So whenever I need to change the brightness on the back of the screen, I choose that button, and I had the A9 set to that. AF on, obviously autofocus, back button focusing here, or if this allows me to focus, I'll change that later on if I need to. And focus hold button on lenses with that little focus hold button, eye autofocus, so I use that. Now here's something really cool, is that you can customize the camera when you're on video mode. So if you set this camera to the little video mode icon, you can actually have specific buttons that work when you're in that mode, which is fantastic. Now, I don't know what to set them to yet because I haven't had enough time to really practice with the camera more, but the option is there now, which is very, very interesting. I don't think that's not on the A9. Let's go to custom key settings now. So let's take a look here. Custom button 1. I don't have that really set to anything right now. It's just, that's what it is. Custom button 3 is rating, which is the little tiny key symbol there. Initially it was set to protect. So for example, if I play back an image that I took, I can now press the C3 button and I can star the image up to 5 stars, and Lightroom will track it. Wow, I can't believe it took them this long to get this going. All right, let's go back to menu. Other than that, let's see here. I like how that skipped over. All right, that's what I got. Cool. Function menu set. Here we go. Whoa, okay. Function menu set. This is what I have here. Drive mode, anti-flicker shooting, focus area, white balance, face priority, and autofocus, file format. They changed the names on these things. It's kind of awkward. I don't know why they did it, but that's what they did. Picture profile, silent shooting, steady shot, zebras, peaking, prioritize, recording, media. So these are the things I go to a lot, and so I felt that they would be beneficial to be placed on function. So this is what it looks like for me, my drive mode. Now I have a shortcut button set to that, but I just have it there because it's habitual. I've been having it on that button for a while now. Anti-flicker is a new spot there for me. All this stuff is very vaguely familiar with all my other cameras. So you might set yours a little bit different from mine, which is perfectly normal because you customize it yourself. Dial setup, I changed this. I want the aperture to change with the back dial here. Did it change? No, I'm gonna go ahead and adjust this right now, so that way it's this one here, so that way I can adjust this back wheel here to change my aperture. All right. Okay, that one I'm gonna leave normal. Dial EV compensation off, movie button always on. That one's that. Audio signals on. You can turn it off or on if you don't want noise from the camera. Network settings, I'm not going to go over too much. Let's see, that's all very normal. Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary there that I want to cover. Playback, the rating options are there if you need it. I don't use this too much, so I'm just going to keep going. Oh yeah, there's this new option called display continuous shooting group. So if you fire a lot of pictures at once, it'll kind of collate them together in the actual thing. I was trying it out with the Sony RX10 Mark IV. I didn't like it, so maybe you can explore it more if you're interested in it. I might check it out later on again, but I'm not a fan of it right now. Setup, let's see here. Everything else here, that's what I got set up. Display quality standard. This is the one thing that you need to change. Auto power off temp. Set it to high. That will prevent the camera from overheating, which a lot of you have been asking about. Touch operation off or on. All these other settings here. HDMI settings, I set my HDMI info display to on or off depending on what I need to change it. Remote control, obviously, if you are going to have like a remote shutter. I should actually put that on my additional menus. USB connections, everything here is all very, very standard stuff. Yep, nothing crazy. This one you're gonna have to kind of look at a little bit. It gives you more options. I think you can have it set to do photos on one, video on the other. They give you a few more options than the A9. Yeah, that's gonna do it. And here's my quick menu right now. I've got my memory recall there. In case I put some more memory recall options. I got format on here because it's always annoying to go and dive deep into the menus for that. I might actually just put that as the first choice. Proxy recording, AF drive speeds because I change that every now and then. Auto review, HDMI settings, record media settings, and select recording folder. And I'll probably add a few more on there. So that is my customization on the Sony a7RIII. What I'm noticing now is that this camera has a lot more granular control over the Sony a9. The Sony has a really good control over a lot of different settings, but this one's a little bit more refined on the a7RIII. And I'm really hoping Sony will go ahead and push out a firmware update to go ahead and add some of those granular controls on the a9. I would really appreciate that from them. Folks, that's going to do it for me. Please let me know in the comments below of any settings that you like on the a7RIII that I did not mention, or something that you're doing in particular with your camera. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other content. And with that said, I'm your host, That One Camera Guy, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.